2 years ago, Marcus Hale was exactly where a lot of you are right now. Laid off from a mid-level tech support job in a Rust Belt city that still calls itself up and coming. Credit cards at their limit. Ex-wife gone, taking the dog and half the furniture. He wasn't broke in the glamorous, rock-bottom movie way. He was quietly, grindingly. Broke the kind where you calculate exactly how many more shifts at the warehouse will cover groceries before the lights get cut off. He closed the laptop, stood up, and made a decision that sounded insane even to him. I'm going to own $1 million in real estate in 24 months. Not hope it, not try, decide. Most people would laugh. The data says they should. The Federal Reserve's latest numbers put the median net worth for Americans under 30 at around $10,000, only about 1.4% of households headed. By someone that young clear $1 million, the average self-made millionaire takes closer to 17 years, 17, not 2. But Marcus didn't read the average. He read the outliers, and he noticed something the motivational posters never mention. The outliers all used the same quiet, boring, brutal system. They didn't invent it. The banks did. The tax code did. The housing shortage did. They just learned how to ride it without falling off. This is the story of how one ordinary guy actually did it. Not the highlight reel, the math, the nights he almost quit. The moment the system handed him $1 million and the bill that came with it. Cut to 18 months earlier. Marcus is scrolling forums at AM, coffee gone cold. He keeps seeing the same 4 letters. BRRRR buy, Rehab rent, Refinance. Repeat. It sounded like a slogan until he dug in. Here's how the system actually works, stripped of the guru fluff. You find a property that's ugly but structurally sound, usually a 2 or 3 unit building in a working class neighborhood. You buy it cheap because nobody else wants the peeling paint in the 1970s kitchen. You put money into fixing the visible stuff, new floors, paint, fixtures, not luxury, just enough to make it rent ready. And raise the upraised value 20 to 40%. You rent the units to people who pay on time because the location is decent and the price is fair. The tenant's rent now covers the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and leaves a little cash flow. Then the magic. You go back to the bank and say, appraise it again. The new number is higher because you forced the appreciation. The bank refinances the loan based on the new value, usually 75% of it. They hand you back most of the money you just put in. Sometimes more. You walk away with your original cash returned. Plus extra 2 by the next property, and you still own the building. The tenant is still paying down your debt. That's it. That's the entire economic engine. It's not sexy. It's not passive income the way influencers say it, but it is leverage, the same leverage banks use to create money out of thin air every single day. When you refinance, the bank isn't giving you their money. They're creating new credit against the higher value you manufactured. The government even helps. Depreciation. Write-offs, mortgage interest deductions, and if you ever sell and roll into another property, 1031 exchanges that let you defer taxes. The system is literally designed to reward people who turn ugly assets into cash-flowing machines. Marcus didn't have the down payment for even one house. That's where the uncomfortable part starts. He had $4,200 in a 401k he could borrow against a friend who still trusted him enough to co-sign a hard money loan short-term, ugly interest, 12 months max, and a seller who was desperate to unload a duplex in Buffalo because the previous owner had died and the heirs just wanted it gone. He offered $215,000 on a property appraised at $280,000 in decent condition. The seller accepted, closing costs and a quick cosmetic rehab estimate, another $48,000, total cash needed, about $68,000. He scraped it together by maxing the 401k loan, the hard money piece, and selling his old truck for $9,000. The math was razor thin, one delay and he was underwater before he ever collected rent. He closed in March. The first night after closing, he slept in one of the empty units on an air mattress because he couldn't afford a hotel. The furnace died at AM. He fixed it himself with YouTube and a space heater. That was month 1, month 4. The rehab was supposed to take 6 weeks. It took 11. Contractors ghosted. Permits sat on desks. A pipe burst and flooded Unit 2. Marcus was living on ramen and energy drinks, working his warehouse night shift, then swinging a hammer until sunrise. The hard money clock was ticking interest at 14%. Every extra day cost him. But the units finally rented, 2 bedrooms each, $1,450 and $1,375. Total monthly rent, $2,825. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, $2,310. Cash flow, $515 a month. Not life-changing. But the building was now cash flow positive and the tenants were decent. Appraisal day. The appraiser walked in. Saw the fresh paint, the fixed porch, the new water heater. He valued the property at $347,000. Refinance closed 38 days later. Bank gave him 75% of the new value minus the existing loan. Marcus walked out with a check for $92,000. He had risked $68,000 of mostly borrowed money. He got $92,000 back, his net equity in the first property after paying off the hard money, about $41,000 plus the $515 monthly cash flow, and the clock had started on his second deal. He didn't celebrate. He drove straight to the next ugly duplex. That's when the system revealed its second rule: speed compounds. Each cycle by Rehab rent refinance took him roughly 4 to 5 months. Once he got the rhythm, he learned which neighborhoods had the best rent-to-value ratios. He built a small crew of contractors who knew his standards. He stopped trying to do every nail himself. The second property, $262,000 purchase, $61. 000 Rehab, refinanced at $398,000. Cash pulled, $118,000. Third property, same pattern, fourth, fifth. By month 14, he owned 8 buildings, 23 rental units. Total portfolio value, just over $3.1 million. Total debt against it, $2.4 million. Equity, $700,000. Cash flow after all expenses, $4,800 a month. Still not a millionaire on paper. But the engine was running. Month 19. The market was cooperating. National housing shortage still hovering around 3 to 4 million units. Rents in his city up 9% year over year. Appreciation hitting 6 to 8% in the neighborhoods he targeted. Every refinance came back higher than expected. He closed on property number 11, a 6-unit walk-up that had been a foreclosure. The math on this one was different, bigger scale, bigger risk. He had to bring $187,000 to closing, most of it from previous refi cash. Rehab estimate, $142,000. If it went over, he was in trouble. It went over by $29. 000. A structural issue the inspector missed. Marcus stared at the number for 2 hours, then called the bank and negotiated a short extension on the hard money piece. He paid the extra out of his own cash flow and a small credit card balance he swore he'd never touch again. The building rented in 19 days, all 6 units, appraisal, $782,000. Refinance pulled $221,000. He paid off the hard money, paid down the credit card, and had $184,000 left to seed the next 3 deals. That night he sat in the empty manager's unit of the new building, same air mattress, and did the spreadsheet one more time. Total equity across 12 properties, $1,037,000. He had crossed the line. 2 years and 3 weeks from the night he stared at $147 in his account. He didn't buy a watch. He didn't post the number online. He just stared at the screen until the numbers blurred and felt something he hadn't expected. Not triumph, but a low, steady dread, because the system doesn't stop when you hit the number. It keeps running, and now it was running on borrowed time. Here's the uncomfortable math. Nobody puts in the thumbnail. To go from broke to $1 million in equity in 24 months, you need to force roughly $1.4 million in value creation across multiple properties. That requires finding deals others miss, usually 20 to 30% below market. It requires rehab budgets that actually hold. It requires tenants who pay and don't destroy the place. It requires banks that keep lending even when rates are volatile. And it requires you to move at a speed that most human beings cannot sustain without breaking something: sleep, health, relationships. Marcus broke all 3. His mother stopped calling after the 3rd time he canceled dinner because a toilet backed up on a Sunday. His new girlfriend lasted 9 months before she said she was tired of dating a man who treated every weekend like a construction site. He gained 22 pounds from stress eating at AM and lost it again from forgetting to eat at all. The irony is brutal. The same system that handed him $1 million also made him feel poorer in every way that actually mattered. And the risks don't vanish once you're on the other side. Interest rates in 2026 are not 2021 rates. A single point jump across the portfolio adds thousands a month in debt service. A local employer closing a plant can empty 3 buildings overnight. Insurance premiums in some markets are up 40% because of climate claims. One bad hailstorm or one long eviction. Battle, and the cash flow that looks so safe on paper turns negative fast. Marcus ran the stress test himself. If rents dropped 15% and 2 units sat vacant for 90 days, his monthly cash flow went to minus $1,200. Not fatal, but enough to force him to sell something at the wrong time. That's the hidden mechanism almost no one talks about. The system gives you leverage on the way up. It gives you the same leverage, only faster on the way down. Most people who try this never reach the million. They find one deal, get scared by the first unexpected repair and sell, or they overleverage, miss one refinance window, and the bank takes the properties back. The ones who make it are the ones who treat it like a brutal, repetitive job instead of a get-rich hack. They keep detailed books. They build relationships with lenders before they need them. They keep 6 months of reserves even when every instinct says plow it into the next deal. Marcus kept the reserves, barely, month 24. He is sitting in the same kitchen where the story started. Different apartment now, 2 bedrooms, paid cash from cash flow. No more air mattress. The laptop screen shows the portfolio summary. $4.8 million in total property value, $3.7 million in debt, $1.1 million in equity. Liquid reserves, $87,000 monthly. Cash flow after everything, $9,400. He could stop, sell 2 buildings, pay the taxes, walk with 800 grand after capital gains, or keep going. The system wants him to keep going. Every new cycle prints more equity. He closes the laptop. The camera lingers on his face, calm, confident, and just a little skeptical, because he knows what the viewer is thinking right now. If he did it, why can't I? The answer is simpler and harsher than any guru will admit. You can. The system is still there. Housing is still short. Banks are still lending to people who know the rules. But you have to be willing to live the way Marcus lived for 24 straight months. Obsessed, uncomfortable, alone with the numbers. Most people aren't. That's not a judgment. It's arithmetic. The same reason only. 1.4% of young households are millionaires, not because the system is secret, because living inside it long enough to win feels worse than staying broke. Marcus stands up, walks to the window, rain again, but softer now. He says to the empty room, voice low, I made it, but I'm still not sure I'd do it again. The screen fades to black. One line of text appears. The system doesn't care if you succeed. It only cares if you keep playing. What would you risk to find out which side you're on?